Hello everybody and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 3, Episode 28, The Little People, written by Rod Serling and starring Joe Moross as Peter Craig and Claude Akins as Commander William Fletcher. This episode is a bit silly, if I'm being honest, but it also has a great twist ending, and it's just entertaining all the way around. So we get two astronauts, and they're basically stranded on a planet, and they're basically arguing as one of the men, Mr. Peter Craig, is basically complaining about everything, especially food and water. And the commander, Mr. William Fletcher, is telling him, be thankful we're all in one piece. We're safe until I can repair the ship. And you can tell he just has a much better outlook on things. So at this point, they're still arguing, and Craig tells him, it gets old taking orders real quick. So, Fletcher kind of amuses him and says, what would you like to happen? And it's made pretty clear right off the bat that Craig would like to rule. So after he's done with this great speech, he hears these voices. So we go to the opening narration, and that is our setup for the rest of the episode. So when we come back, the commander looks like he's working on trying to get the ship back together, and he questions Craig as to where he's been. And then he also questions him about, it's really hot here. How come you haven't been drinking any water? So, he tries to figure out what Craig is hiding. And he does. He discovers something on Craig, so they examine it. And there's all these little things. There's like a little vehicle. It's a truck, I believe. And Craig says, I was going to tell you about this. I was just testing it out first. Yeah, sure. I don't believe this guy for a minute. But anyway, he explains what he found, and he says, I'll take you to it. So what Craig does is he basically takes him to this very small race of people. They're called the Little People in the episode, and they're basically the size of ants. And you can tell that, Fletcher's somewhat interested in this, but Craig is really excited about this because he says they'll do whatever I tell them, they're scared of me, so now he can be like a commander and boss people around. And Fletcher explains to him, that they're people, but Craig just doesn't want to hear about it, and he actually steps on one of the houses with his foot. The special effects here look pretty ridiculous, but it was 1960s TV. What can you expect? They're fine. You just have to go with them. But Fletcher's very upset that Craig did this, and he asks the Little People for forgiveness as he realizes, this isn't just how you treat other people, no matter who they are or what size they are, I guess. So we go to the second part of the episode, and Fletcher's ready to leave. He's fixed the ship, and he's looking for Craig everywhere, but he can't find him. What he does find is a statue of Craig, and then Craig appears. He said he forced the Little People to create this statue of him, because if they don't, they'll be in trouble. They're scared of him. And this guy's really lost it at this point. Fletcher's still trying to reason with him, to his credit, as a good commander would do. He says, we're leaving. We got to get out of here. I fixed the ship. Craig won't leave. He pulls out some kind of weird space-looking ray gun, and he tells Fletcher to take off on his own. He even shoots at him, and he shoots the head off his own statue, which they show crumbled on the ground, which I think should foreshadow not a good ending for Mr. Craig here. And Fletcher's still kind of trying to reason with him, but finally he gives up, and he does leave. He takes off. After he takes off, Craig is by himself, and he loves this. He threatens the Little People again, and then he falls to the ground, and he's laughing pretty crazy now. He's laughing kind of a mad laugh. I don't think he's all there at this point. I think he's just obsessed with power. But then something else happens. He hears a noise. He looks up and says it's a ship. It'll go away. And he keeps looking around. But the ship doesn't go away. Instead, there's these two gigantic men there. And they see him on the ground. One of them picks him up and accidentally crushes him by accident, which is very significant. This doesn't happen on purpose. The one man tells the other man, you crushed him. And the other man says, I didn't mean to, but they were just there, making repairs. So they leave, and basically we see Craig is, he's a goner. He's on the floor. He's dead, and the little people destroy the statue of Craig. They push it down. So I guess it's a good ending for the little people, but not for Craig. The obvious message here is, when you get too crazy with power and you take advantage of being in that kind of position, things won't work out well ultimately for you. Now, this episode is entertaining. The twist ending is really good, but this episode's also a bit silly. Joe Moross gives an entertaining but way over the top performance. I'm sure that's what he was directed to do, and it works, but it is a little much at times. But the episode is fine on a whole, and also the science is really a bit questionable in this episode as well. But the little people overall is entertaining, so I give it a 3 out of 5. You could check this one out, a 3 out of 5 for the little people, and as always, thank you very much for watching.